I slept late the next morning. I slept late the next morning. I was amazed of how amazing that night was last night. Tara called me later that next day. I answered the phone. Hey baby, what do you want? I answered the phone. Hey baby, do you want to hang out with me again? She then told me she wanted to have sex with me. I knew now this was going to be the chance of a lifetime. Today. I thought yesterday was it, but now I'm realizing today is probably it. I tried to keep calm because worrying about it, whether it would actually happen or not, would just decrease the chances. I picked her up and we went on another amazing night like the night before. We saw a movie called Have You Been Served? We then crossed the US border again to Canada. We had some Chinese food and it was really good. We then drove around. We drove around Windsor and then drove out into the suburbs. By the time we got into the suburbs, we pulled over into a parking lot. It was by one of my favorite power lines in Canada. We jumped into the back seat and we started making out. The windows started to look like it was a bad day to drive. I loved it. I turned on the radio and heard a really cool song on the radio. It was the same song I heard when I rode my bike yesterday in the morning under those power lines before prom. We proceeded to make out some more. Suddenly she pulled my pants down and my eyes started to light up. I started to feel a feeling that I was waiting for my whole life. Once she finished, we stopped making out and I was on cloud 9. The windows were still fogged when we got back to the US border. We then decided to go to Belle Isle. We drove up to a road where I used to sprint during rowing practice at the end of some practice after end of some running. We parked at a spot right on the other side of the road. She started making out with me again. We started making out more passionately this time. I thought it was awesome. I realized at that moment that this was the moment. I slowly pulled up her shirt. I then pulled down her shirt. I sucked on her boob and she moved in enjoyment. I then slowly pulled down her pants, very slowly. I then did the same with what lied beneath. I then looked closely at what was behind that. It looked exactly how I thought it looked. I put on my condom. It was really hard to put on. I decided to set the condom down. I knew there was a line that once it's crossed, its significant change permanently takes place. I soon started to find out what that line felt like. I lost my virginity. I graduated in June 2014. The graduation ceremony was pretty sentimental. I walked the aisle with 2 stipends from National Honor Society and National Technical Honor Society. It's like I didn't wear this though. Like it was more like, hold on one second. Ah, shoot! I'm gonna step on my electronic components here. It's kind of like this. And I had like a big cap, and I was like, "I'm graduating! Woo!" Actually, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was kind of lame. I had my gown rested in metal that I won from the Go Lightly competition. A loud cheer filled the double gymnasium. There was actually quite a bit of people that cheered too. I was really proud. Like a lot of people cheered. It wasn't like the most cheering someone did, but it was actually up there. I would say it was about, I'd give it like a 8, 5 being like normal people. I was so happy. All my friends, my parents, my sister, and my mom from Flint was there. After the ceremony, we went to an all-night party. The party was located at a very fancy place at Grosse Pointe. It was called the War Memorial. It was packed with a bunch of fun activities. Laser tag, a studio that makes rap videos, a place where you can actually go in, like a tank that you can go in and actually dive for money. Lots of food, and even a hypnosis. And at the end, we all gathered together and held candles and made farewell speeches. The events were pretty fun, but there was a couple lame things. This one guy at laser tag was kind of being a dick, and I kind of wish I went in the money tank. And 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 when I watched the hypnotist, I wish I was like being hypnotized. I wonder how they did it and what the experience was like. I'm still curious. Everyone was really emotional, but I couldn't really. The thing that really bothered me the most was I didn't really feel as emotional as they did. Once the night was over, I felt kind of empty inside. I felt like, in a way, I wasn't really connected to the class like everybody else was. I suddenly realized I didn't really feel that close to anybody compared to what everybody else felt. I kind of felt sad, not because high school's over, but it was over and I felt like I really wasn't a part of it. When it really came down to it, I felt like I did have some friends, but I felt like I wasn't really close to the friends like, everybody else was. But there was an exception. I did feel close to my Asperger's friends. I felt very close to Hari, Scott, Jeff. But, I wish I had more close friends too. And that kind of bugged me. I knew majoring in electrical engineering at Kettering University this fall was going to be hard. There was no doubt in my mind. Kettering was a very expensive school, and if I was going to attempt to get through it, I wanted to at least complete it. I wanted the outcome to be worth the amount of tuition debts that I was going to put into paying off of it later. I wasn't going to fool around. I needed to prepare. I set some more goals for this year, and I set these goals for the summer. I wanted to improve my chances of passing classes this fall. If I didn't do that, I was probably going to fail. I set goals to improve my memory. I did exercises to help me pay attention better, improve my math skills, and read more. I spent a minimum of 2 hours a day doing exercises during the summer to improve my reading skills. It was exhausting and it was not fun. One thing I did a lot to help me prepare for going to Kettering was practicing how to pay attention. That was one of my goals. I always had a hard time focusing in class. Trying to focus and not letting other thoughts distract me was always a huge factor that caused me to struggle in school. I always missed what the teacher was talking about, and then I would have to ask for help later. I tried practicing this goal by practicing to pay attention to things. I did this by listening to CNN for 40 minutes each day. I turned on CNN and closed my eyes and put my head into the blanket, and I would try to listen as hard as I could, comprehending every word that was said on the news station, and try not to lose focus. I felt like more than one benefit happened. Not only did I think my paying attention skills increased some, but I also learned more about the world doing this. I was being more informed. I started learning more about politics. I still didn't really like George W. Bush though. I felt like most of the politics in the world is so pointless that it's almost like high school gossip group. How about talking about more important things such as taking care of the planet Earth? Or figuring out ways to help humans get along better? Yeah, that's a tough one, and we need all that help we can get on that one. Or learning methods on how to improve political structures so we can set the stage for human evolution towards more of a peaceful living. How about that? Hello, the National Science Foundation set up a contest open to the public for people trying to invent a device that can reduce the world's pollution. Whoever submit the best invention would get a grand prize. Or how about, greetings Iraq, this is George W. Bush. I know you're afraid, and I just want to let you know I am your best friend. Let's work out a system that will benefit both of our countries, support every religion, and doubles the abundance with everybody as a result. Or how about this one? Good afternoon, this is CNN Headline News. Here's this latest scoop on how we can help make the world a peaceful, unified, and more harmonious place. People are so caught up on believing hate is the way to go. And the truth is, it is a dead-end road. Sometimes I often wonder, why are so many people so spiritually unaware? Why are they so unaware about the truth of God? Why are they so unaware of that the truth is that anything, that we could be positive and be happy? Why are people so unaware of the spiritual truth to the point, if you even try to tell people about it, they think you're crazy? Sometimes I even wonder, why does God even let all this suffering happen? If God wants us to not suffer and be unconditionally loving like Him, why does He make it so hard to achieve this? Why doesn't He try to make it easier for us? I eventually figured out why. One of the reasons is because God wants to give us free will. Having free will allows us to do whatever we want, and this brings us a lot of enjoyment. If He unwillingly helped us without our consent, He would be violating our free will. That's only a minor reason. There's even a bigger reason why this is the case. Another reason is the fact that we learn things better when we learn it on our own. If God gave us all the answers and helped us become masters of the right spiritual mindsets all at once, we would still inevitably struggle in the long run because we didn't really practice it and really learn it on our own. People learn things best when they actually do it on their own. It's like learning something by reading a textbook versus actually doing what you're learning to do. You can learn math examples all you want, but you're not really going to learn the math until you actually do the problems. It's like the difference between seeing and versus doing. I learned that concept was really helpful to me, and it really helped regain my faith again.